Dear friends, see last time we studied about the orbital magnetic moment of a electron revolving around nucleus. We also derived the equation of force acting between two infinitely long current carrying parallel conductors. And by using that we gave the definition of 1 ampere current. So we know the ampere is the SI unit of the electric current. Now see the next we have to see the torque acting on a rectangular current loop placed in a uniform magnetic field. This is an important theory, can be asked in a 4-mark question. Now let us say a rectangular current carrying loop, let us say ABCD is placed in uniform magnetic field B. Now let us say our side AB and CD are equal to B and the side BC and AD are equal to A. Let us say the current in the circuit is I. Now there are two different cases. First we assume that the uniform magnetic field is in the plane of the loop. Now see here, current in BC and see the uniform magnetic field. See the magnetic field is directed from S to N. See what we can see, both are parallel. Now we studied about the equation of the force. Force is equal to IdL cross B. Okay. Now here IdL and B are in the same direction. Theta is 0. We know the sign 0 is 0. So that's why the force acting on arm BC and AD of the loop is 0. Why? Because both are in the same direction. Theta is 0. That's why the force acting on BC and AD arm of the current loop is 0. Now see, we have to calculate force on side AB, which is equal to B. See the current is I. So the force F1 we can say is equal to IBB. Okay. You see here theta is 90, the force will be maximum. Okay. So that will be IBB sin 90. Sin 90 is 1. So the direction is going inside the plane. Similarly, the force on CD arm will be equal to IBB, that is directed out of the plane of the loop. So what we can see here, see F1 and F2 are two forces of equal magnitude but in opposite direction. Also they are non-collinear force. Okay, so we can write F1 and F2 are force of equal magnitude in opposite direction and non-collinear. Okay, so these are the two forces which are of equal magnitude in opposite direction and non-collinear, hence they form a couple. Okay, and see earlier in the rotational motion we have seen that a couple produce a torque. Okay, it will produce torque. Now see what is the formula of the torque. See torque is force into perpendicular. See right now we write down only the magnitude part. See torque because of these two forces, that is IBB. See what will be the perpendicular distance from the axis. See the total length is A, so this will be A by 2. Same way here IBB is the magnitude of the force and this distance also will be A by 2. Now we can see it is IBB A by 2 plus A by 2, that is A. Okay, sorry, A. Now see AB is nothing but area of the rectangular loop, so we can write as the IAB. See if there are n number of turns we can say. Okay, so that is the magnitude of the torque produced by force acting on AB and CD. Now right now we have assumed that see the magnetic field is within the plane of the loop. Now see the second case, when the plane of the loop is not along the magnetic field. Now let us say the plane of the loop is inclined. Now see again the uniform magnetic field is B. Okay, now and the area vector is A. See see our current loop is like this. So here also the force on BC and DA, okay, are of equal and opposite value, but in opposite direction. They are directed along the axis of the loop, okay, or the coil. So that's why the resultant of them is 0. Now see what is the force acting on AB arm. Force okay, that is I B into B. Similarly, force on CD F2. Okay, here also the force are of the equal magnitude, but see their direction is making some angle theta. Now we know we have to calculate the torque. See, torque is force into perpendicular. So here we have to calculate perpendicular distance between force F1 and F2, okay, which are of equal magnitude. Now see here, see the forces are IBB, okay, and F2 also is IBB. They are like this. See, this is the plane of the loop. See, the area vector is always perpendicular. Now let us say that makes an angle of axis, angle of theta, okay, with the axis. Now we have to calculate perpendicular distance between two forces F1 and F2, which are of equal magnitude and in opposite direction. Now let us say, see our side length is A. Now let us say this is the midpoint. See what we have to calculate, perpendicular distance MN. Let us say we call as center as O. Now see this angle is 90 degree, this angle is theta, okay. So what will be this angle? 90 minus theta. Now let us say triangle ONN1, okay. Now we know the trigonometric function, okay, cos 90 minus theta, that is okay, is adjacent, that is ON1. Now this ON1 is A by 2. Now cos 90 minus theta is sin theta, that is known to us. Now Mn is twice On, okay, that we can see from the diagram. So what is the perpendicular distance between two forces F1 and F2 is A sin theta. Now see torque is equal to R cross F. See here we write only the magnitude, okay. R is a perpendicular distance, that is A sin theta, and force is IBB. See that we have seen here. So now we can write it is AB, small a into small b, B sin theta, I also is there, okay. So now here AB again is the area of the loop. Torque is A IB sin theta, okay, IAB sin theta. Now here we have assumed there is only one loop. If there are n turns, okay, if there are n turns in the loop, or we can write for loop having n turns, torque will be N IAB sin theta, or we arrange popularly known as बीना sin theta, okay. This हमारे बीना पे ने याद रखना, okay. So torque is बीना sin theta, okay, or torque is equal to NIA cross B, okay. NIA cross B. Now see this NIA B we can write, okay, Ni is called M, that is a magnetic dipole moment. Remember, area is a vector quantity, so the torque we call M cross B. Okay, so here again, see, this is a magnetic dipole moment of the rectangular loop, and B is a magnetic field. So value of the torque acting on a rectangular loop placed in a magnetic field is given by torque is equal to B naught sin theta. And remember, this NIA will be useful to you in the lesson number 5 also. So torque value is M cross B. So this is how we can prove the value of the torque acting on a rectangular loop placed in a uniform magnetic field. See here, for simplicity we have taken example of a rectangular loop, but see, this is true for loop of any geometric shape. Suppose it's a circular loop, then also we can prove. Okay, but right now we have considered here is a rectangular. This is the formula of the torque. See our next topic. See, next we have to compare. See the magnetic dipole moment, okay, of magnetic field and electric field. Now see here, in the first lesson we derived equation of value of the electric field at any point on the axis of an electric dipole and on equator of a electric dipole. Now in the beginning of the lesson, now let us say this is a current carrying loop. Okay, now this we can consider. See, the current carrying loop we can compare with a bar magnet. Okay, current carrying loop we can compare with a bar magnet. Okay, there is some relation also, equivalence also, okay, that we are going to show now. Now see, current carrying circular loop magnetic dipole moment is NIA. Okay, now see, what is the formula of the magnetic field due to current carrying circular ring? Okay, see, value of magnetic field due to current see, if there is only one turn, we can say that also it is fine. B is equal to mu 0 Ni R square 2R square plus. Okay, now this is the value of the magnetic field due to current carrying loop. See, this is a formula at a point on axis. Now see, the line passing through the center is called the axis. Now suppose we have got X is very large compared to R. We can write B is equal to mu 0 N R square upon 2x cube. Okay, now see, the magnetic dipole moment is given as NIA. Now area is pi r square. So what I do? See, I multiply and divide by. Okay, now see, pi r square is the area here now. Area is pi r square. Okay, so mu 0 NIA upon 2 pi x cube. Now see, NIA is nothing but our magnetic dipole moment. Okay, so this is how the equation will become. Now see, on the axis of electric dipole, for a point okay, 2 kp upon x cube. See, here is a k is a Coulomb constant, p is a electric dipole moment. Similarly here m is a magnetic dipole moment. So here also we want to write in terms of 2m. So see this equation, mu 0 m upon 2 pi x cube. See if I multiply and divide by 2, mu 0 2 m upon 4 pi x cube, mu 0 upon 4 pi. Okay, we can see some analogy here. So the value of the magnetic field at a point on axis of bar magnet. Okay, similarly at a point on the equator, okay, so a bar magnet can be a magnetic dipole, so it will be mu 0 upon 4 pi. Okay, so this is the formula of the magnetic field at any point on the equator of the dipole. So this is how, by using the value of equation of current carrying circular loop and comparing with the magnetic dipole, we have obtained the value of the magnetic field at any point on the axis of the dipole and equator of the dipole. See, just now we have derived the equation of torque acting on a rectangular loop, current carrying loop placed in a uniform magnetic field. See, our next topic is related to galvanometer, which uses the same principle. Now, see, the galvanometer is a current sensitive device. It is used to detect the current, presence of the current in the circuit. Now, what is the principle of the galvanometer? See, when current carrying loop is placed in a uniform magnetic field, torque is produced and gets deflection. Now, let us say, see, the magnetic field is B, uniform field B. Now, see a rectangular loop. Having area A, number of turns is n, is placed in a such a way, see, the area vector and the magnetic field will become normal to it, so torque will be maximum. Now, to provide uniform radial magnetic field, see, a circular or a cylindrical metallic cylinder is placed, so that will ensure there is a uniform magnetic field. Now, see, the device is pivoted like this. Okay, the device is pivoted, so it can move freely on its pivot. Okay, now see here, now this is a pointer. See, when current passes through the coil, torque will produce and this will get deflected. Now, to get it back into the original shape condition, see, a spring is provided. Spring provide restoring torque. Okay, now let us say current in the circuit is I. Okay, current in the circuit is I. Okay, as I told, see, the coil is placed in a magnetic field in a such a way the torque is maximum. So what is the magnitude of the maximum torque that we have seen is B na. See, earlier it was, we know the equation is B na sin theta. See, if area vector and magnetic field are normal to each other, theta will be 90, sin 90 will be 1. So the torque acting will be maximum. Now, as I told, the spring provides restoring torque. That is a restoring torque provided by spring. Let us say T dash is K phi. K is torsional constant of spring. So its unit will be, torque is in Newton meter, this will be in radian, unit will be Newton meter per radian. Okay, you should be knowing the dimension also. Now see in the equilibrium, okay, T dash is equal to tau, that is K phi is V na. Okay, so or we can say V na is K phi. That shows that current and deflection are proportional to each other. So what do these suggest? More is the current, more will be the deflection. Now, so depending on the current flowing, see the deflection will be there, and see our pointer will move like this. Now device has a number of application. As I told, see this is used to basically detect the current in the circuit. Okay, so now number of devices we come across is, let us say, our electricity meter, that is watt hour meter. See nowadays they are electronic, but earlier it was working on the same principle. Similarly, see the meter used in our rickshaw, which counts our bill, okay, or how much amount it will charge. That also works on the same principle. Okay, now the speedometer of our vehicle also works on the same principle. So basically, see this is a device to detect the current. Okay, now see we have seen B na is K phi, so we can say B I upon phi. Okay, phi upon I. Okay, will be B A N upon K. See this phi by I is called the current sensitivity. Okay, phi by I is called the current sensitivity of the galvanometer. Similarly, we can write for the okay, see the current sensitivity is called SI. Okay, voltage sensitivity is denoted as SV. Okay, now this is the formula of the voltage sensitivity. Now this is about the galvanometer. Now see in our laboratory we see three type of instrument. One is the galvanometer, that is used to detect the current. Now recall, see the Wheatstone bridge, where see the galvanometer was to use to find out the null point in the circuit. Okay, now next we have to see how the current sensitive device like galvanometer can be used to measure current or voltage. Now see the galvanometer is a current sensitive device, but it has one limitation. Okay, even small current flows through it, it shows full scale deflection. That is, even a small current, it shows full scale deflection. So in that case, it cannot be used to measure the larger current. Now this is 10 to minus 10 meter with a very less current. Suppose we have to measure 2 ampere current, 3 ampere current, we cannot use directly. So what is the remedy? See that we have to see in this section. Now see the galvanometer can be converted into ammeter. Now see this is our galvanometer, symbol is G. Okay. Now the resistance of a galvanometer also will used to denoted by G. Now see galvanometer, see when a small value resistance called shunt connected in parallel, okay, it becomes ammeter. That is a current measuring device. Now see large value, okay, see the shunt is denoted by S. see series resistance. Rs. See, then it becomes okay. So when a small value resistance connected called shunt is connected in parallel, then galvanometer can be converted in the ammeter. See, and a large value resistance is connected in series with the galvanometer, then it can be converted in the voltmeter of a larger range. Now let us see the reason behind this. Okay, now see, in the 10th standard also, earlier or in our third lesson we studied about Ohm's law. You will have an experiment regarding the Ohm's law in the laboratory. Now suppose the resistor value is R. See, the ammeter is the current measuring device and voltmeter is a voltage measuring device. Okay. Now what we see in the diagram, that the current measuring device is always connected in series with the resistor. Okay, and voltage measuring device, that is voltmeter, is connected in parallel. Okay, now see, so what happened? Let us say the resistance is 100 ohm through which we have to measure the current. Now see, our normal galvanometer value resistance is about 60 or 80 ohm. Let us say we take 60. Now what is the value of the current? I is equal to V by R. I is equal to V by R, that is by Ohm's law, V upon 100. But as the galvanometer, which is the current measuring device, is connected in series, the resistance will change. Why? Series resistance will be, instead of V upon 100, when we connect galvanometer, it will be, so our current value will change significantly. Okay, so in that case, the galvanometer, which is used as a measure to current in the circuit, cannot give the correct reading. So what we do, we have a solution. We try to reduce the resistance of the galvanometer. Now see our property of the parallel connection of the resistor. See, in parallel connection, equivalent resistance is smaller than the smallest. So when we connect a small resistance called shunt in parallel to the galvanometer, the resistance will change. Now let us say example. See, this is our galvanometer. See, earlier in third lesson we used to call resistance R, but here G is also a symbol for resistance, that we have to keep in mind, that G is the resistance of the galvanometer. Now what happened? Let us say this is 60 ohm for our consideration which we have used. I connect a resistance of 0.02 ohm. Okay. Now see the property of the parallel connection, R1 R2 upon okay. So what you will see, that the resistance will change significantly. Now see, earlier it was V upon 100. Second time when galvanometer was connected is V upon 60. Now here it will become V upon 0.02. So that is how the current will not change significantly. So our reading or the current reading will be more accurate. Ideally, this should have a low resistance as possible. So see, this is a theory part we have to remember. See, the resistance of ideal ammeter is 0. Why? Because as I told, see, the current measuring device should have a less resistance as possible. So this is how we can convert galvanometer into ammeter. See, that is the formula of the shunt. Okay, so this, though it is not connected in the as a derivation, we should see here conversion of galvanometer into ammeter. That is formula 4. Okay, so shunt is a small resistance device small value resistance connected parallel to galvanometer to convert into now. So G S, see our laboratory device which we see ammeter will have inbuilt inside this. Okay, but what we see is a final device is a ammeter. Now see the value of the shunt. Let us say the A is the junction. Let us say current is I. Here it is divided into two parts, Ig and Is. Now see again. See the properties of parallel connection of the resistor. G was 60 ohm, that we have just for example. Shunt was very less, 0.02 ohm. Less resistance, that means more current. So most of the current will flow through the shunt and galvanometer will be protected. So this is the basic idea. Now equation for the shunt. Now we use Kirchhoff's second law at point A. We use Kirchhoff's second law. VA minus GIG. Now we move from here, so it is in opposite direction the current plus SIS is B. Okay, so what we get? SIS is equal to GIG. S is equal to GIG upon IS. Now A is the junction. There we use Kirchhoff's first law. So at point A, I is equal to IS plus IG. Okay, so what is IS value? I minus Ig, that I have to substitute here. So our equation will become S is equal to GIG upon, this is the equation of the shunt. Now this is the value of the shunt. Now in terms of range of the galvanometer, let us say galvanometer range was Ig. We increase by n times, so it becomes I times of n times of Ig. So what is the equation? I is equal to n Ig, or we can say n is equal to I upon Ig. Now see our equation, S is equal to G Ig upon I minus Ig. See both numerator and denominator I divide by Ig. Okay, so it will be G, this will be I upon Ig, cancel, I upon Ig is n. So the equation of the shunt in terms of range n, okay, n is I upon Ig, okay, will become S is equal to G upon n minus 1. So this is how we can derive the formula of the shunt. Okay, as I told, the shunt is a small value resistance connected parallel to the galvanometer to convert in ammeter. Now see the next time we'll complete the theory part. One more equation is remain, that is conversion of galvanometer into voltmeter. See, that will take next time, and we'll move to the numericals and exercise sums. Thank you.